How's it going, everybody? Kelly here from Carcraft Auto Repair, and today we have a 2012 ML350. It's a 166 chassis, and we're observing a transfer case leak. So I just wanted to show you guys today what we're finding here on this vehicle, and we'll show you what we're up to. So here we are underneath the vehicle, and as you can see, we're having leaking coming from the back side of the transfer case. We obviously have it all over the cross member and back in under here. Now, if you're inspecting this, you would probably think that it's coming from this seal in between the two, or basically in between the two cases. But from what we're knowing, it's going to be the seal on the inside. So today we're going to go ahead and we're going to take you through the process of removing the transfer case and resealing that. All right, so basically we're here right underneath the vehicle, a little bit close in here. We're going to go ahead and remove the three panels. We got the right side undercover, the main undercover here, and then obviously the opposite panel on this side here as well. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, so this ends up by being pretty straightforward. Obviously we just got a bunch of 10 mils all along here and some 8 mils, and you'll have a couple clips that you'll need to remove right here, to push clips, pull those out of the center. The main shield here, got that removed, no big deal. And this is like obviously when we got the first shield removed. So we can just go ahead and carry on from there. All right, next step, we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove this shield here because we need to get into the drive shaft. We need to remove that. Obviously, before we get going on the vehicle, we're going to also want to make sure we have this in neutral, so we can rotate the drive shaft to remove it, and make sure we're marking the drive shafts and the propeller shafts, so we can put it back at the same orientation that we took it out in. So in order to get the heat shield off here, we have to undo the bracket on the left side there for the exhaust hanger, and then we have some 12 mil bolts and some 10 mil nuts holding on the shield. You'll have to unclip the rear knock sensor wire there, and yeah, once that's all free, that heat shield should just come out of there. All right, now that we got that heat shield out of the way, we're going to go ahead and now we've supported the transmission. So we supported it by the pan. We got a nice big 2x6 underneath there, and as you can see, we've set up the stand underneath the back there. What we're going to be doing next here is we're going to go ahead and remove this cross member for the transmission. We got the center bolts here. I think that we got 16s here, and we have some E-torques on the outside, which are E14s. So we'll go ahead and undo that, and we'll have to remove the top braces there, and we're going to go ahead and drop this cross member out of the way. Let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, so with that transmission cross member, we have a ton of more room. So what we're going to be going to do next is we're going to mark the propeller shaft. Basically, we're just going to draw a quick line on it with some chalk, just so we know where it is, and we'll do the same thing with the drive shaft. We'll get those removed. Then next, we're going to want to remove this temp sensor, just because as we're pulling out the transfer case, we don't want to bump it, damage it, break it, or anything like that. So we'll go ahead and just remove that from there, and the connector is just above right there, so we can just unclip it and just move it out of the way. So let's go ahead, get the drive shafts undone, sensor out of the way, and we're almost ready to start removing this transfer case. So probably is worth noting, you will need a T55 Torx to remove those bolts. The one thing I haven't shown here, actually, which we might end up by doing here, is right up there, the steady shaft. Steady bearing, we may remove the 2 bolts for that, just so we can swing the drive shaft just out of the way, because we're not going to remove it from the vehicle completely. We just want it out of our way. All right, so we went ahead and removed the drive shafts here. Did have a little bit of a hard time, sorry, you can't really see that, getting the drive shaft to come out of here. and obviously getting the front propeller shaft knocked out. So you know, we tried just to hammer it out here a little bit now by using a piece of wood and just, you know, knocking out of here and knocking it out of here. Obviously we got the temp sensor now removed. Basically now we're ready to pull this thing. I'll have to get the light up in there, but we're gonna have bolts all around the back side. So let's just go ahead and get that set up. And it looks a little bit easier from this side. So we got bolts all the way around. We're gonna lower the transfer case down a little bit because we have it on the stand. Get the proper angle to reach all those bolts, and we'll go ahead and get that thing pulled out. All right, now it's pretty obvious we got this transfer case out there. So now basically we can see upon inspection here, we got this, the transfer case seal here. You can see here, kind of get close up there, you can see all the fluid, it's full in there. And let's see if I can kind of show it on camera. Obviously it's all full back in there as well. So you're gonna need a large set of snap ring pliers to go ahead and get this snap ring out. And obviously a new seal. Now, super key here when we're removing this seal, if you're going in here with a screwdriver, that we do not go like this and completely scratch this surface or this surface here. So we want to do this in a way that we are removing the seal without marking either side's surface, this side or that side especially. So we got to make sure we take a little bit of care and attention there. So let's get it done. So here's the seal that we're going to be using here today. There is the dealer number there, and then obviously the aftermarket number there with the part number on there. So let's go ahead and let's get this installed. All right, so there we just lifted that thing back in position. Just one thing worth noting, as you're putting the transfer case back in, make sure you do have the propeller shaft in position there, or you can't quite slide it in. There's not quite enough room there. So we're gonna go ahead and get this all back together. I'm not gonna go ahead and film the whole thing. Obviously we've seen exactly how it came apart. So let's get it back together, then we'll give it a clean up and road test, and we're ready to go. Well, so basically there you have it. Transfer case in and out. You know, remove that, remove the seal, install the new one there. Obviously, the only real time-consuming job on this one's actually just removing all the shields, basically all the way down both sides. There's a lot of screws and bolts there, but yeah, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward job. I mean, if you're going to tackle this in your garage, I mean, it's totally doable. You'll definitely need a few jacks, and you know, obviously 2 hands would, or an extra set of 2 hands would really be helpful in this case. If you're going to do it alone, it might be a little bit tough. The transfer case really doesn't weigh all that much. It's maybe 30 pounds, maybe a little bit more, but yeah, conservatively maybe 50, but yeah, it's not very heavy. So yeah, there you go. 2012 ML350 166 chassis transfer case leak seal.